Welcome back to another episode of the Day After Podcast.
What up, Sky? I messed that up.
You sure did.
Just like four people in the row not playing The Idol. Like, one, it broke a record.
Yeah.
Uh, and two, like, I was like, oh, Q's definitely gonna play it. There's no way he doesn't play it right now.
Yeah.
And when he didn't, I was just like taken aback from it. When Venus didn't play her idol, I kind of was like, for a second, I was like, oh yeah, Venus is totally safe right now. And then, she spilled the beans, or no, she spilled some of the beans, made herself sus, and then she turned out to be the vote. And I was like, wait, really? They're getting rid of her? Oh no, it happened again.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. This might be one of the most inept casts we've had in terms of just knowing what's happening in the game. We are now at a third of the cast of this season has gone home with an idol in their pockets. Because we got 4 in a row here with Hunter, Tiffany, Venus, and Q. We also had Gem, and then Randon got medevacked. So that is 6 out of the 18 people who have had a possession of an idol.
literally a third. Um, I think it's going to be surprise. The idols are cursed this season.
Yeah.
I think it would be hilarious if someone finds it at 5, for whatever reason, doesn't play it, and still goes home. Like, is it far-fetched? Yes. But at the same time, with this cast, could it actually be the case? It is. I think it's probable. I think
Yeah.
10% chance it happens.
I kind of hope that just an idol is not put back into play for the simple fact of I'd like this season to just be known for never playing anything. Um, I guess there was that one shot in the dark that was played, but that's like whatever. But in terms of actual idols and proper advantages, like nothing is getting played. I
No,
think that's
no.
so interesting.
It's I definitely think, say what you want, and I think you actually put this best when you were talking to someone on Facebook about it, that this season, if you're looking for great gameplay and stuff, no. If you're looking for meme-worthy entertainment, this is the place to be. Because
Yeah.
there have just been, this season wasn't boring, in
Mhm.
my opinion, because there was so much things going on. It's a little bit of a hot mess, but it's like an entertaining hot mess where it's like,
Yeah.
bro, what? Or at least that's my opinion of it.
Yeah, it seems like it's so interesting because like I think almost everyone agrees the first 4 episodes of the season were not great. Like they were some of the worst in the new era, but then a lot of people love everything after that. Um,
Yeah.
so I haven't seen a lot of people who say this is the best season, the best cast of the new era. Like a lot of people are thinking that, which to me, I just don't see that. I
I
would
don't
not
either.
I would not put that. I it, Once Upon an Island, they just did like their season rankings of the new era. They had 45 as one of the lowest ones, and they had this number one. This 46 is number one. Um, yeah, they thought the people there were thinking that 45 was only better than 41, and then every other season was better than 45. I was like, that's just wrong. Um, no shades of them, but I think that is just objectively wrong.
We're all entitled to our opinion. However, that was a very odd opinion.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like if I was also, why are you ranking 46? It hasn't
Yeah.
finished unless you've seen the final episode already.
Yeah, they hadn't. They were doing under the assumption that Kenzie is winning because that's
Yes, I feel like she's most likely the one to win. However, at the
yeah,
same time, you can't assume that.
yeah,
We didn't assume that Gabler was gonna win.
yeah,
We it's like, I'm trying to think of, like, unlikely winners from, the new era.
yeah. To be fair, they also love that Gabler won, and so if
Yeah.
so for some reason not Kenzie winning, they would be like that would probably go up even higher because they would be like, "What?"
I
And
don't know.
they are definitely Once Upon an Island, like they do love the memes. Like they were talking about how like they loved of all one of their favorite things they loved was that Claire was not competing in challenges. Remember Claire? That was, in their opinion, one of the best parts of the new era.
How many subs is it? I'm gonna be like, okay, I know they're like a bigger one, but
Yeah.
like at the same time, I'm like, what?
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. I mean, like, so the main guy who does it, Wesley, he's a little closer, I think, to our opinions, but then he has two co-hosts who are a little more in the like norm, like they're not really following, they don't care about strategy as much, and they're just kind of like, I like this person, so this is going to be my top thing.
Don't get me wrong. I can be that person too. We've talked
Mhm.
so many times, and we all agree. You love strategy more. I love the story, and like I'm more sentimental. But like we can still agree on certain things where it's like
Yeah,
no.
yeah.
But yeah. Um. Anyway, enough about Once on This Island. Oh wait,
Once Upon an Island.
that one too. Musical reference. But so we start up with and it's the final several. And another person went home with the idol in their pocket. Tiff got blindsided. And yeah, so at this point it's starting to form this whole Q and Maria thing. Like Maria is starting to separate her game from Charlie
Mhm.
and being like basically Charlie is starting to be more in the middle of things as well, where he's like, all right, like the Malcolm and Denise of this season are starting to like, separate a little. And it really started, I feel like, in the final several.
Yeah, definitely. And it makes sense. Like, I don't think for either Charlie or Maria, neither of them really should try to go to the end with the other one.
No.
You're definitely going to split votes if that happens. And you don't. It's hard in the game to really know, are you going to be on the good end of the vote split like that, or are you going to be on the wrong side? Is that going to cause some other person to randomly win? Like we could get a 3-2-2 or a 3-3-2, votes scenario, and then
Yeah,
chaos happens when that happens. Which we just saw in Vanquish, by the way.
we did.
Which was
For
pretty.
fan versus favorites 4, it was a tied final travel council, and yep, third place basically had to choose who won. Go watch it; it's a lot of fun. My
Mhm.
buddy Brad is on there, and yeah, I'd say a pretty solid cast overall. And honestly, like the final three in that, I agree with Shane. Probably one of the best ones I've seen. Where I'm
Yeah,
like, each one of them definitely had a win condition. Or like
yeah.
I could be like like each one of them I could see winning this game and I'd be okay with it.
Hmm.
Not like my opinion matters the most, but you
Yeah,
guys listen to this. So
yeah,
you care about my opinion a little bit
yeah,
at
yeah.
the very least.
Well, how crazy would it be if we do get to final three of this season with Kenzie, Charlie, and Maria? Like that is like there's no goats there. Like out of those three, there just isn't someone who is just there to be a zero vote finalist.
I think it's very unlikely though.
Oh yeah, I
But
know. Don't get me wrong. I don't think that that's what we're getting, but that is something that is, like if Maria wins immunity, they can't convince to go after Charlie, and for some reason, like Ben gets sniped or Liz gets sniped or something crazy like that happens, and then
Ben
they,
gets the idol and the curse falls on him,
yeah,
or
he decides he wants to rock out and keep this as a fun souvenir and goes home.
yeah. I mean, it's really up to those three, but it would be I'd say the one thing, and it's weird that Maria is this far in, and you probably have a better view on the confessional. I know we're jumping way ahead,
Mhm,
but we're also talking about 2 episodes, and, like, in the final episode, we're always like, "Alright," we always do finale talk as well, because like, that's
mhm.
just, you know, where the stage is going.
Yeah,
Um, but, like, you know, for most of the season, she felt, like, important, but not that important, and part of that was because of, like, the Yanu decimation, stuff like
mhm.
that. But, you know, now we're starting to see a little bit more and more confessional from her, but she never feels like the main character, at least edit-wise.
Yeah.
Um,
She had a really big episode this last one with 12 confessionals,
she did.
so she finally kinda had a huge showing, but, up until that point, yeah, she had less than Banu, heading into this last episode, so
Yeah, that's not good.
yeah,
So it is because of that, it is definitely between Charlie and Kenzie.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
I'd say I'd give it like 70% chance Kenzie's winning, maybe even 80% chance, and then Charlie has the remaining 20 to 30%.
yeah. I'd say, especially because, you know, after when Tiffany went and, you know, Kenzie wasn't in on that vote as well.
Mhm,
Thankfully, she is someone that was very, you know, she was able to navigate and be like, okay, I'm going to pivot with that and then, you know, find new allies really quick or like find tighter bonds really quick. And then now, like, especially because this Maria and Charlie thing has been going on, Kenzie can just like sit back and just let
mhm,
you know let the attention be off her because
yeah,
there's also the Q thing. So like you know, I think she has probably the best shot of winning for
yeah.
that.
I think she's also got one of the best odds of making it to the end. I feel like we're
Yeah,
definitely losing a Charlie or Maria at 5, and then I feel like, a lot of people like Kenzie and might even just bring her to the end thinking, "Oh, she hasn't been orchestrating a lot of the big moves and maybe not realizing, but she has these great relationships with everyone on the jury."
yeah, yeah. Even the one she like, I feel like it doesn't seem like a bitter jury,
Uh,
except for obviously Venus. But
yeah.
you know, like I definitely feels like the people that went home with idols in their pockets, it's like, well, I can't be too upset. It's my own damn fault for not playing it. Um, and like, you know, that's part of the outwit that
Mhm,
that was a part of as well. I feel Kenzie's social game was great. I feel like one of the highlights from, you know, the last episode, the penultimate episode, was you know, her, you know, consoling Charlie. And I know it wasn't the first time it happened. I even mentioned in the merge episode when we had Cookie King on here that if you looked at her nails polish, there was like it was definitely worn out and stuff. And so I'm like, I felt like a confessional that was further ahead.
mhm.
And so it was from this moment where she was talking about it again because of not really Ben's night terrors.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And yeah, you see those 2 making it to the finale, so
Yeah,
definitely, you were right about that, being able to find that little detail. So congrats on you. Um, but yeah, I just feel like right now it should be Kenzie's game. Like I I, I do wonder, does she beat a Charlie or Maria at the end? Um, I I want to say she beats Charlie, and that's purely because the perspective of what a lot of people say is like they aren't looking at Charlie as a big threat. Now we know as the audience that he's playing a good game, but I don't
yeah,
think that they're necessarily seeing Charlie as playing this big game right now. They're thinking of him as, oh, he's the dependable dog. Like that is what he was labeled as. Um, and
yeah,
and that's come from Kenzie, who has been kind of a voice of reason on the season, and like things she says is usually truth, even if it doesn't happen or anything. Like it's usually the most sensible thing for a lot of people is what she's saying, and then
Yeah,
suddenly some crazy stupid plan happens 10 minutes before that is like, what the heck just happened?
I do agree with your statement.
Mhm.
Um, I feel also, what is your T-shirt? I just noticed.
Oh,
It looked like Jeff.
it's a no, it's a wrestling t-shirt. Chris Jericho that says "You're a stupid idiots."
Oh, I thought it was Jeff for a second. I
Yeah.
like you rose up. Anyway, um, but no, I feel like the one thing it really depends on final tribal council. Because it's like it's okay if you're not considered the big threat throughout the game. It's just are you able to sell yourself and these moves at the end? Because I feel like it's always tough to be like, "Oh, I did this, 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 and this," when there's no substance. But if you go back and be like, "Hey, you know that? Yeah, that happened because of me and this," and
Uh,
there's actual like evidence to back it up, you
uh-huh.
do have a better shot. But I feel like, especially because Kenzie was warned to the other tribes
Mhm.
that she is a big social threat by Banu when he had his you know,
Uh-huh.
when he had his moment when they went on the journey, and he pretty much told Q and Tiffany are tight, and that Kenzie was a huge social threat
Yeah, a
and
mastermind. She was the mastermind.
mastermind of it. And she's still with that reputation, and she knows about it. She can even say
Yeah.
it in her final tribal council speech
Yeah.
that, yeah, she had this target on me because, Banu pretty much blew up our games. But
Uh,
even though with that label, I was still able to navigate it,
mhm.
um, and things like that. I feel like she can definitely talk her way. I think she's very dangerous at Final Tribal Council, and I feel
Yeah.
like because the attention really isn't on her, I'd say the only thing that really takes her out if Charlie and Maria wins Fire, and then they're like, you know, that Kenzie, she's a threat. All right, who's better at making fire, Liz, Ben? All right, and then try and take her out that way.
Mhm.
Because I don't think for the first vote they try. I think she for the first vote you don't target um Kenzie. I think that it's either going to be Maria or Charlie at
Yeah.
that one, and then whoever is left, that's fair game.
Yeah. Yeah, I can definitely definitely see that. Another thing looking at Charlie is that, like he could say like look at all these things I did. This cast though has massive egos. A lot of
They do.
people do not want to give other people credit for moves. They want to say this was my move. I don't care if you said something that maybe let it there or whatever. This is this person's move now, because they want to have like sole credit, and that's been like the story of so many votes. Is like I want credit for the Tiffany votes. I want sole credit for the Q vote here. Like everyone is trying to claim their votes. And so by doing that, because there's so many sole credits, I think it might be hard for someone like Charlie who is trying to play from the shadows and controlling everything without people knowing, for him to actually be able to let people know that that's what he was doing, because no one wants to give maybe respect to that, where everyone wanted to respect the person who was making that big one move.
That's fair. That's fair. It really depends.
Yeah.
That being said, another thing that's been kind of like surfacing up the past couple episodes is Maria not, like with fans, she's kind of gone down a little. And I think that's
Mhm.
partially due to like wanting to bring in Q, but we got to talk about one of the craziest moments, and it was the freaking oh, Maria winning reward and immunity and being like, "All right, I'm definitely choosing this person. All right, who who else wants it?" And then two people bow out from it, and then it's between Q and Liz, and she's really struggling with this decision. And then she's like rock paper scissors over it, and you know, Venus called her out on it as well, and then it just led to so much chaos
Yeah.
and stuff
Yeah. Well,
with
the important part to also note there is Liz, only person to beg. Q is like, make your decision. I'm fine with it either way, basically. And Liz is like, please, I need to go. I haven't eaten. And Maria makes them do rock, paper, scissors, which, wild, like,
yeah.
if she takes Liz there, no one is looking at her with like these lasers now trying to get her out. She might have still been able to be a little more under the radar actually, but her doing that I think really did piss a lot of people off at her.
Yeah, I think part of it was like, it's one of the things where it's like, because that was a huge thing, and also you're taking Q, who literally just ate
Yeah.
all that stuff. And granted, there was a photo of like Q at the beginning of this game and Q, at that point in time. And yeah, he has definitely shrunk a little bit. Like his muscles aren't, you know, basically, you know, you shrink on the island because you're not being well fed. But at the same time, like he can eat some of the other stuff. He just had this big buffet where he was
Yeah.
throwing out food. And
Yeah.
so it was like, and had a good night's sleep. It's like he had a very good reward. And it's something at the very least to not let other people know that you're working with Q, because sometimes who you bring to a reward kind of is like, oh, this is who I'm working with.
Hmm.
There's always like a way to be like, oh, well, you can always have like a valid reason where it's like, oh, these people didn't go on the reward before or the last one. So I'm
Yeah.
bringing these people or something like that. But I feel like it definitely hurt her a lot because then it made her and Q more of a duo. And I think that really also separated Maria, not just from Charlie, but from the rest of the tribe as well.
Yeah, she put her eggs into the Q baskets and or the Q skirt in this case.
She was
Yeah.
in the put him in the hood and
Yeah.
she didn't pull the strings, and so like it wasn't fastened in there, and those dropped. And then
Yeah.
another smart play by Charlie. Well, it was a risky play. I don't want to say I might have been too it was smart in hindsight because like, the two girls stayed true and Q didn't play his idol. He didn't have an idol,
Mhm.
but like he had no idea that Q found the idol. But it's like things definitely went right in Charlie's favor for him in order to stay. But
Yeah.
he was like, hey, I'm still gonna tell Maria, so I still have that avenue just in case.
Yeah.
So this paints a very big target on Maria, as in like, oh, it's almost like a bad guy a little bit because she turned on Charlie
Yeah.
first.
Oh yeah, she's had a villain arc without a doubt.
Yeah,
From Final 7 onwards, she's
final
sh
several.
Final several onwards. Zelensky, he's coming back for 50 without a doubt.
He's gonna be in 50. He's gonna be Australian versus US.
Yeah.
Like he popped up in Vanquish.
Yeah.
He popped up in Vanquish.
Yep.
Not really. His
Yeah.
picture did, but they
Yeah.
based an advantage off of Jelensky, which you would think I had something to do with it, with how much I praise him on here. But
Yeah.
no, this
Yeah. I mean, Jeff loves him. Like without a doubt, like this is the most referenced first boots of all time.
in history.
Yeah, like even Francesca has like references of like other people like saying afterwards, but like no one talked about her besides those 2 episodes. Like that was like kind of mostly it. Jelensky has been the season. They keep mentioning him.
He's like,
And it was so wild too, because I remember when he got voted out in week 1 and he said, everyone kept referencing me. I was like, no, you're just joking. Like they almost named the tribe of the Zelensky tribe. Like, and
now I'm
now,
starting to see that's probably the case.
yeah,
He wasn't full of shit,
he was being dead serious. Like that was actually something that was happening.
which we love it.
Yeah.
Like I said, for the memes.
Yeah, yeah.
I feel
I
like
think he cursed the season. I think that his whole shtick was so meme worthy that it just like created this
set
like
the
shadow.
tone.
Yeah, it just made the whole thing. Everyone thereafter has to become a meme.
I'm not gonna lie. I have watched his moment. He is honestly one of my favorite contestants from the new era.
Yeah,
Because he's just so funny.
yeah.
And like he has so many like funny moments in his
Uh-huh.
one. Like there's not one where it's like, eh.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, I do have a theory that season 15 might also be something kind of like a pre like two, three different tribes, pre-merge, jury and finalists, like broken
I
up
can
into
see
those
that.
three. And if that is like a case, I think you're bringing Jelinski back as one of the pre-jury people. I think you just say he's your first boot that you're bringing back. He's just the person that you bring in for that.
Also, it is kind of weird to think because we haven't gotten leaks for 47 yet, or
Yeah,
40 several,
yeah, not yet.
which usually we would have by now.
Mhm.
We usually get it before the trailer.
Yeah, yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I don't believe they've gone out yet. I think they go out in a couple weeks from now, or maybe they are on the island right now. They might actually now like recently have been out there. So
I
we'll
mean, yeah,
see.
they usually have something for the trailer
Yeah,
at this point.
yeah,
And so like,
yeah. I know for
yeah.
43, I remember they had like 2 or 3 days of filming by the time the finale
Yeah.
came, so they just had to kind of use what
What was
people's
there?
what people's early game intentions were, even though that didn't actually line up with the show.
Honestly, I think it's kind of better that it didn't
Uh-huh.
or that was the case, mostly because then it can kind of like subvert expectations. You get like a little bit of the feel of it, but even the producers aren't trying to be like, "Hey, hint, hint,"
Uh-huh.
um, which I kind of like. But yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, that's why we
um,
also saw a lot of Brandon Donlin seeming like he was going to be a star because they really liked him
and
in those
for
first 3 days or something. Even though he was doing terribly, they still thought he was probably great TV.
yeah, yeah. Uh, man. All right. So what is there to talk about? Oh yeah, Venus looking for the idol. So
Mhm.
like, with Tiffany gone, all of the original tribe idols were pretty much flushed out of the game at this point.
Mhm.
And so there was this giant, you know, search, party that was looking for the idol. And lo and behold, the person that finds it is Venus. And then I'm like, ooh, okay, this is interesting because it's like Venus has an idol now. Which she is a huge wild card in this game and stuff like that. And I'd say like up until her elimination, it was a no, up until she said something to Charlie, hinted that she had an idol, she was having a good episode,
Uh-huh.
I will say.
Yeah. Yeah, she had the basis there, but yeah, Charlie kind of being able to tell like, okay, maybe she has it, maybe one of these other people have it, but like she had some kind of implication that
Yeah.
she knew that an advantage was found. Which, a small little slip up there, but yeah, I mean, I was surprised
Small little
Venus.
slip up.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
One. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I think that she's still a potential person that they would have targeted regardless of if that was said. I think that that was just something that Charlie could use as a catalyst. But I
I
still
feel like
think,
I feel like at that point it was a very crucial spot for her. She
mhm,
could have not mentioned it, which is what a lot of people did, and what you said is true. She still could have been that vote right then and there.
mhm,
But one thing, because like Charlie was starting to go away, and a lot of focus was on Maria and Q to be the vote, and then she was starting to, and then it's like, all right, Charlie is going away from Sia a little bit, specifically Maria, and it's like, all right, what can if Charlie is looking for a new number one, she could have potentially been like, in order to gain trust, say that I found the idol.
Mhm.
it's always risky telling someone that you
Yeah.
have an idol, especially because 2 people did, but I feel like you had to commit one or the other.
Uh-huh.
It's like you either don't say anything at all, and I'm not even talking about playing it. You either
Yeah.
don't say anything at all, or you build trust and say that you have it.
Yeah.
You could
I
have
think
done
she
one or the other.
I think she just didn't even realize that what she was saying. I think she was probably just like, "Let me just end this conversation. Like, let's just kinda move on," or something like that, and ends up kinda revealing it. Like, people do that all the time. I don't think she intended, like, "I'm gonna drop a little hint here for Charlie."
Yeah, I mean, sometimes
Yeah.
obviously, she wouldn't be aware of that. I think, she didn't know what she wanted to do, and she ended somewhere in the middle, and I think that just, like you said, made a catalyst and made that decision easier to get rid of her.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely. I'm actually I will say, even though, like Charlie was able to kind of figure out she might have the idol, I'm still surprised she goes out at all. I feel like Venus is someone you bring her to 7, you might as well bring her to the end. And sometimes like people who are just so hard to deal with, you do eventually take out like Abby Maria, for instance. She should always get brought to the end if you bring her to like 7 or 6 or whatever. Yet somehow she always gets taken out around there because she is so hard to deal with. She is so hard to like even want to play the game at all with.
I don't know. Fun fact, I have met her a couple times.
Hmm.
I think it's one of the things where it's part of the edit, but also, like I mean, like, because, like, in Game Changers not Game Changers, Second Chance, how dare I? She did get a bit of a more, sympathetic edit at the beginning where,
Hmm.
it was kinda like, some of the old school players, they were like, "Yo, it's not cool that you're kinda treated this way." And they kinda brought her in a little bit, but then when Merge happened, she definitely was kinda, like, on the outside of the votes. I definitely think it was a better edit for her that time around.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah. But the thing is with Venus, it's like I think it was definitely like, hinting that you had an idol that really sealed her fate.
Hmm.
'Cause I think you were very right. She could have, coasted her way to the end, but at the same time, I think people want resumes, and then it's
Yeah.
also like, "Alright, if we wanna make camp life a little better,
Yeah.
get rid of her," 'cause, Maria's not a big fan of her either.
Yeah, I think a
Yeah.
lot of people also did not want to place worse than Venus. I feel like that was a little bit of what was happening too, is like people like just were like, please, can we just get rid of Venus? Like that was a lot of the early talk in the merge because it was just like, especially for like Hunter and Tiffany, like go out with idols in their pockets. They do worse than Venus. Like I do think that there's some of that kind of like she's gonna be gloating about that to them, like that her placement was better. I feel like she will do that, and it's like,
Yeah.
damn. um,
I think, like, you could always reverse sooner that I'm like, "But you didn't learn from us to play your damn idol."
yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah, but I still got 7, so that means that
yeah.
I'm a better player than you guys. So like that's the
No, she didn't just get 7th, she got several
several,
place.
yeah.
And then conversation over after that.
Yeah, which what makes sense why she got place number several, because she didn't get several episodes of confessionals, but she got 4 episodes where she ended with several confessionals. So
Interesting.
they definitely were kind of hinting that. And I noticed that a little earlier. I was like, she got like 2 or 3 sevens in a row, and I was like, wait a second.
I think maybe the editors are shipping, Venus and Jelensky a little bit.
Wow. I don't think Survivor's ready for that power couple.
You
That
never
that
know,
that's
you
that's
never
the
know.
real that's the real Shaggy and Daphne right there, you know? That's
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, once, Venus goes out and yeah, I do think it was still a pretty surprising, elimination.
Mhm,
Um, it's like the next day, we see this split even more between Maria and, Charlie, and then Charlie wins a reward and takes, Liz and Kenzie,
mhm,
and this one was the this one was it hit a little harder for Maria because it's the loved one letters.
Uh-huh. Yeah. And I mean, I get it. I'm not the person who loves the love stuff. Like, I don't really care about that much, so much. And like Maria literally said, like that her and Charlie had the deal that they would never take each other on
Yeah,
reward. So she has to know that that's what's
yeah,
happening here. Um, and yeah, I just felt like it was too much. I think her doing that honestly makes the rift between her and Charlie seem very more visible and like allowing the want for them to go at each other. Um yeah, I don't think it was a good I don't think it was good that we're having all these people have reactions on rewards. Like just
yeah.
just off of that is
I
is
mean,
not great.
I think the thing is, it's like the loved one letters. I feel like this time around they kind of emphasized it more, but you also have to wonder, like obviously production has stepped in and be like, yo, like with Terry Dietz and stuff, your son is in like critical condition. You may want to
Yeah,
go. And they will do stuff like that.
yeah,
However, you're always kind of like worried. It's kind of like prison in a sense, where it's like the outside world still goes on without you. Yeah, you're
yeah,
here for not just 26 days, obviously. There's, the travel, the holding
yeah.
period, and, getting back and whatnot. At least a month commitment on your part. But like the world still goes on while you're there. We even see it in Challenge USA where Leo was on a little video chat and his business was starting to like falter and he almost left right then and there because
Mhm,
he was losing money, his businesses were not doing well because he left. It is something where you do worry about stuff like that while you're gone because you have zero contact with the outside world. And us doing orgs and stuff, we know what it's like, the backstabbing, we know what it's like
mhm,
with having to trust or not trust anyone or stuff like that. But we don't know what it's like to not be able to talk to any of your friends and family
mhm.
for like a month, unless, you and I, because I haven't been to jail or prison. You, as far as I know, have not been to
Yeah.
jail or prison
I would not survive a month. I would not do it. I can't do it.
on the
Uh,
island or in prison.
in prison. On the island I could do, but I'm the kind of person that if someone comes at me, like I'll try to come at them even if I can't take them, and I'm not gonna be able to take people in prison. So
They're gonna see my face and be like, "Here, pretty boy."
yeah.
Fuck me up. Anyway, um, that and I talk too much, so
Mhm. Yeah. So I want to ask. I don't think we've talked about it, but have you seen the whole Jeff saying that the new era is significantly harder than the old era of Survivor? He's been
I've seen it. I haven't looked into it. You can elaborate if you read that article.
Yeah, I read it. I mean, it was also on his podcast, and where he basically said, just because it's shorter days, it's so much harder because they're not providing starting food. But the fact is that there have been seasons where they don't start with anything, and they have to boil their own water. They don't have to do
Yeah,
that in Modern Survivor.
no,
So there are seasons that were way harder. Now,
Africa.
yeah, Africa especially. So I know for a fact that that's not true. I think at a certain point in Survivor, they did start making it easier, specifically around the late 20s and then the 30s, where they were trying to
Yeah,
provide a lot more food because they wanted to make sure that the gameplay became kind of the most important thing at a certain point, and the
yeah,
survival stopped being as important. So I could say maybe I could see some arguments compared to say season 37, 38, somewhere around there to 41 and onwards. Maybe that is harder but not But that's just because you made it so much easier for a certain period of time, and so you're just looking at that as what old era was, but that's not what all of old era was.
No, no. Yeah. I'm saying like each one has its difficulties.
Mhm.
Some would argue, and a lot of people who have played 39 days would argue that's harder because it's like
Yeah,
a longer commitment
yeah.
as well. I think both are difficult in their own way. But it's like different degrees of difficulty. Not in the sense of like I don't feel I feel like at the end of the day, there's always going to be these challenges. There's always going to be this, this, and this. I'd say one of the things that makes New Era a bit harder than the other is probably the one addition is Earn the Merge.
Mhm.
Because, I feel like that one is kind of more of the brutal stage where it's like that's something about the New Era. While it's stressful AF, I think is very, very, I think that's like a good addition they brought to it, you know,
See,
because it's hard, it's more brutal.
yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, the Earn the Merge made sense when they first were also doing it, and I've been thinking about this recently, but the fact that now you do the Earn the Merge and then still one person is not making the jury, I think kind of loses the value of the Earn the Merge. Like, I almost kinda
That I
wish
agree with.
I kinda wish that it was, just, like, have one more pre-merge, boots, and then do this Earn the Merge where the team that wins still goes to tribal, and then maybe the other team goes to tribal, but whatever team wins the Earn the Merge makes jury. Like, and that's your
I
Earn the
agree.
Merge.
I
Um,
agree, and they did that with 41
yeah,
and 42.
yeah.
Um, they didn't do that they didn't do that with 40. Did they do that with 44?
44, I believe so. I mean, I'd imagine because I know they did that for 43, so I'd imagine that that was the case. I can look it up real quick.
'Cause I'm
Um,
like, because I know
um,
'cause I know for a fact 41, 42. It's like, was Matt the first member of the jury? Trying to think who didn't win the I don't know why I'm blanking on the Earn the Merge. I know
yeah. Oh, it was oh, so Josh went out at the on the merge.
yeah.
And then yeah, it went straight into Matt's as the first jury member. Yeah.
Okay, so it did happen one because I was like little foggy on 44
Uh-huh.
actually.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, because
So
there are
yeah,
three people that matter on that season, and
you are correct. Yeah. You're not completely you're not
yeah,
I don't know words, but like it's something where it's like people obviously mattered, but the Tika 3 got so much screen time. It's almost as if no
yeah.
one else mattered in Survivor's eyes.
Yeah, I was definitely thinking about it. Like, I was like, there isn't really many memorable moments of that season. Like, I just remember those three being such fun people, but like, I don't have like, ooh, this blindsided was amazing that season. Like, everything kind of just like, it just kind of happened, but everyone would just like those three people. So people are just like, I like the season.
I like obviously there were things I liked about that season. Kane I thought was cool, the sword and shield little moment he had. Um and then also I really enjoyed the nerdy showmance. From to my knowledge,
Yeah,
it's still going on, right?
I think so. I haven't heard anything other than that.
Otherwise,
So
yeah.
yeah.
Which I feel like that was cool. Um, but yeah, and I think like I like Lauren, but she didn't get as much screen time as she could have. But yeah, I do feel they've gotten better with more time of getting more people more edit time and more screen time. But
Mhm.
at the same time, yeah.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah. Okay. Is there anything else we need to cover on these two episodes? Anything else that stands out?
Yeah, we forgot I know we talked about it a little bit because that was the joke. But, when we're watching that moment of Charlie telling, Maria that the vote is Q,
Mhm.
and then Maria telling that Q that, "Hey, you might get some votes your way." and Q is high on life right now because he has
Yeah.
it. He's like, "I'm the king." All his, confidence is restored,
Yeah.
and then he wasn't like the quiet guy in the corner anymore. He's like, "Yep,
It
Q
skirts.
skirt." Um, he, he, yeah, he still didn't play it, and there was a moment where I'm like, "Yeah, Charlie is going home here. There's no way Q doesn't play his idol."
Yeah.
And then he doesn't. Like, what were your thoughts when you were watching that?
I thought he had to, especially considering how they showed the votes before Jeff even did it. Like they showed everyone voting Q except for Maria and Q. Like
Yeah.
they gave us how it was going. So when that happened, I was like, oh, so now Q is going to play his idol because they just told us. And then they just and then we had to just see the votes. I was like, this is crazy. Like the second Jeff says, all right, I'll read the votes. It's like, dang, Q just fucked up.
Yeah. Which, I mean, if you watch that episode, you kind of knew it
Yeah.
because, like it didn't look like Kenzie or Liz, especially, was like, no, Q's got to go.
Yeah.
I think Ben, if we're talking about a number one for Charlie, I feel like Ben, they've been together for the entire game.
Yeah.
They broed out by doing their Metalhead versus T Swift showdown.
Mhm.
And yeah, so like I feel like Ben, even though he's not being edited that way, is Charlie's number one at this point because
Yeah.
they've been through so much together.
Yeah, I have definitely a very interesting theory that would be so much fun, and you probably have I bet you probably even thought about this, but it would be a Kenzie, Charlie, Ben, final 3. Kenzie gets 4 votes, Charlie gets 4 votes. Ben has to decide between his, friend Charlie, his music friend in Charlie, or the person who has been helping him through his night terrors in Kenzie.
That didn't occur to me, but boy, the icing on the cake of that happening was he goes to the booth, Jeff pulls out the vote, and it says Venus.
Venus is the winner of Survivor 46.
Because of the whole
Yeah.
because like that's another thing we didn't touch about, which
Uh-huh.
led to the whole night terror thing, the whole Kenzie Venus mix up that
Yeah.
Ben had. Because his night terrors has been keeping him awake for so long, he's starting to, I don't want to say lose it, but he's really I mean, I've gone without sleeping for maybe 2 or 3 days, and I know how
Yeah.
like spacey I can be with that. But
Yeah.
imagine like having several or several nights of not having that, or several teen nights of not sleeping.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. It's gonna be interesting. Like, I just feel like they've definitely been setting up Ben as like this deciding votes for not to essentially choose who wins the game. Because that is
Yeah,
he hasn't gotten a lot of confessionals. By the way, he actually still has less confessionals going into the finale than Banu.
I feel like Banu is just this bar of like, how good
Yeah,
of an edit are you getting?
one hundred
Even though
percent.
he
If you have less confessionals than the fourth place person or the fourth person voted out of the season, then you were probably not winning the game.
You're right. It's like you're right. It- yeah. But no. The thing is, it's like Ben. I think the thing is, it's like he's always been like a number there, or he's always been a name that's been thrown out. But as we're reaching the end, and I think the same thing with Liz as well, their votes really matter on which direction this game goes.
Mhm.
Because it could be a thing of like, let's say Lizard Ben wins final four, and then they have to decide who's going to make fire and stuff like that. Or if there's a scenario where it's one of them is in a power position, or maybe both of them like they could be in that thing too, where it's
Mhm.
like I think when you play these games, you might be closer to it than I was because I went down at 11-9, whereas you made it pretty far in the game where you had an idea, and you've even said on camera the video hasn't posted yet for
Mhm.
Big Brother, but like at that point of the game, you kind of figured out how everything was going to play out and who wins based off of that.
Yeah.
And like if we're thinking that, the players are also thinking that too. So I think Ben and Liz are aware of their situations. I think Ben has social game. I don't know. I know it's between one of the three we mentioned. I don't like counting people out of stuff,
Mhm.
but it's the edits is not in Ben or Liz's favors, if that's
Yeah.
the case.
Yeah, it's something that is a better Liz, and Maria is an interesting case where, like, yet again, I think she's playing a great game in the aspects, but I also think the edit is really setting her up for the fall. Like they're
Yeah.
really trying to like let us know that Charlie is most likely going to be the one to pull the one over on Maria here. So uh and I mean, she also had not a great edit until just recently, where she had a big episode with a lot of confessionals. So she was also kind of in that same boat of Liz and Ben previously, where she had less confessionals than Banu going into the penultimate episode. So definitely another thing. Like I think she's going to be that fifth place, the Laura and the Lindsay kind of votes where everyone just knows she loses immunity, and it's like, okay, Maria, it's your time. You're out.
On the flip side, I do want to say because she has 3 wins under her belt.
Mhm.
Part of me is like, this is just a me thing, but it would be cool. It's not. The edit is like probably not going to make this happen,
Yeah.
but like I would like someone from New Era to tie with at least the ladies. But I
Mhm.
think it would be so badass if because like she's the only one that can do it to tie for 5.
Yeah.
I
That would
don't think
be
it's going to happen, but
yeah.
it is technically
It,
possible.
it is possible. That would mean, yeah, she would have won the last four immunities, one out, get herself to the end. Um, Uh, I do still kind of wonder how her jury chances are, because I do know people are pissed at her. Like some
Yeah.
people are not happy with her, and so she kind of, I think, in my opinion, needs to get to the end with like Liz and Ben. I feel like Kenzie and Charlie have the chances to ruin her chances of if she sits at the end with them. So um,
Mhm.
definitely has to kind of, I think, go with those two. Uh, but I mean, it just seems like it's so much Kenzie's game, in my opinion. It just
Yeah.
she's getting by far the best winners edits of the season.
Oh yeah. And then
They love making Kenzie put in a positive light.
yeah, and I feel like she had, especially for those who didn't know, Kenzie is currently pregnant.
Mhm.
Her maternity pictures are online right now. But like there was this whole thing about her and her at the time fiance.
Mhm.
And this whole thing about how she moved her wedding to be on Survivor, which makes sense.
Uh-huh.
But I've had friends that have been married before, and that's a lot of things to move around.
Yeah.
So it is something where that's another thing too, where it is. I don't know how much weight it puts on it, but it is something that could also pop up into her final tribal council speech
Yeah.
as well. Um, so I do think that she has a lot going for her to win. I
Mhm.
know you said like 70%, maybe 80. I think that was a pretty accurate statement, unless they
Yeah.
wanna subvert all the expectations.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I think there's still the chance of the Charlie, but yeah, Kenzie's just getting a way better at it. Like,
Yeah,
we're getting the game bot a little more from Charlie, in my opinion. Like, we're learning how the game is being played through his eyes, but we're getting everyone's like them as people through Kenzie's eyes, which typically is more important for winning the game.
yeah.
Um, Okay, before we get to any confessionals, I want us to play a little game where we try to figure out what we think is going to be the final placements of these final five. Um, so let's go five on up. Let's start with you, Ryan. Who do you think is going to be getting out at this next tribal council?
It's tough because it is very dependent on who wins immunity. I'm gonna say this. I don't fully want it to be the case, but I'm gonna say Charlie.
Okay, you're going with Charlie.
Maria wins immunity, and everyone else is like, yo, Charlie's a threat.
Mhm.
And then they take him out there. And then I think if Maria doesn't win that, she could probably win at fire. So I'm gonna say either Ben or Liz. I'm gonna say probably that's tough. I'd say this is probably the hardest one to predict. I'm gonna say I'm gonna say Liz.
Mhm.
And then so the end is going to be Ben, Maria, and Kenzie. I'm gonna say that Ben is in third. I feel like Maria gets one vote from Charlie and maybe Q, and then the rest goes to Kenzie.
Okay, so you're thinking a 6-2 vote
6-2,
there.
yeah.
Okay, nice.
Maybe another 1-7, but I would like to think that because they started. I'm also a sentimental guy, and I'm
Uh-huh.
also hella wrong about these things. Never go with my decisions.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't think it's that crazy. I could definitely see that happening. Um,
Yeah.
what I have here is I have Maria going out at 5. I have Liz going out at 4 as well. And then I also think Ben will be third. But then I have Kenzie and Charlie. And you know what? I'm calling it. I'm gonna say that what we're getting is the 4-4 with Ben voting for Kenzie to win
Venus.
the season. Yeah, for
Go
Venus.
Venus.
Yeah. Um,
Um,
that's
yeah.
how I think it's gonna go. I
I like
just
your I like your idea better. But I'm like
it
trying to think. I'm trying to think of something. Like me. Sometimes I go there for out there ideas as
yeah.
well.
Yeah, of course. I just think that this would be the funniest way to end the season for this kind of cast, and this season would just be for them to
Yeah,
then also do a split vote, and just and pull and go silent here and make Ben have to decide between the two people who he cared about most in the game.
that'd be brutal.
Yeah.
So I also want to mention our fantasy picks.
Uh-huh.
You have left Maria, Kenzie, and Charlie, and I have Ben and Liz.
Yeah, I'm sorry, buddy.
I'm I've been half tempted. I'm half tempted for the next fantasy to just roll a die
You should.
because
I
the
mean, it works sometimes. Just do the opposite of what you think you should do. It's the George Costanza method.
but the thing is, because I know that sometimes the universe works in mysterious ways to fuck with
Mhm.
me. I lost games that I shouldn't because of RNG, because the
Uh-huh.
universe we're not getting back into the Ryan Luck thing. I want to make Ryan Luck a good thing, but good God, sometimes it just kicks me while I'm down.
Yeah,
Um,
sometimes it is a cold mistress to you.
no, 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 no. It's not. It's not just cold. It's Sub-Zero. It's
Yeah.
Sub-Zero.
uh
Anywho, so confessional count.
Yes, confessional count. Let me get over here. Okay, so Q goes out here, still with the most confessionals in the game as right now, but that'll be definitely be broken by the end of the finale. Q goes out here with 74 confessionals.
It's not too shabby.
That is quite a lot. I feel like he was definitely the biggest character of the season. Biggest character.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so now the confessional leader is Charlie with 73 confessionals. He's actually only one behind Q.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then we got Kenzie with 70 confessionals. And then we go down to Maria with 43 confessionals.
You're telling me, Joe, are you seriously telling me that that the gap going into our finale is almost 30 confessionals? We're talking like
Yeah.
at least 30, not even 30 minutes, roughly 15 to 30 minutes of context and everything.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
there is a 30 confessional difference.
yeah.
That
27 confessionals.
that vast of a difference going into the finale.
Yeah. 27 different from Kenzie, 30 from the leader and Charlie. Yes.
One small thing, 20 several.
20 several.
Oh my god, that is way too much. That is, yo, I'm not okay with that.
Yeah, that is wild. Charlie in the last two episodes, by the way, got 26 confessionals in the last two episodes.
Nice.
So definitely his edit picked up a lot recently, but
But still,
yeah,
that
it's
is
pretty nutty. And then listen to these next two. These next two people still don't have more confessionals than Banu, our fourth person voted out, because we got Liz here with 35, tying Banu now. Finally, heading into the finale, she has finally tied Banu.
all right. So she definitely will surpass because like she's at least getting one confessional
Yes,
in this next episode.
yeah, and Audra, the next person will also do it. We got Ben with 34 confessionals, so he just has to get two. He's definitely going to get at least two. It'd be crazy if he didn't. But yeah,
I'm still taken aback by that wide of a dive. I would imagine. Good gosh.
yeah. When I was looking, I like checked a few times because I was like, that's kind of crazy.
It is. It is. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So
Um,
so I think that's why also everyone is like, it's got to be Charlie or Kenzie, because the edit is
yes,
really just not supporting anyone else but those two right now.
you are correct there. Like, no,
Yeah.
dude. Man. But yeah, all right. So two separate episodes. We'll start with the final several, MVP and LVP. MVP, I'm going to give to for that episode, probably Charlie. And
Mhm.
LVP, I have to give it to Venus. Like,
Yeah. I think the LVPs in these two episodes are the people who go home because they went out with titles in their pockets when they should have known. There were ways that they can easily have sussed it out.
yeah,
So I agree. I think Charlie also MVP. I think his he was able to kind of do the vote, but Maria takes the fall for it, making her now the biggest threat. I think that's a great strategy moving forward. So um yeah, definitely good there. And then episode 6, I mean, I'm doing almost basically the same thing. I'm giving the MVP to Charlie, LVP to Q.
I'm gonna be different.
Okay.
And I do feel this way a little bit. Not a little bit. I'm gonna give MVP to Kenzie because I feel like her
Mhm.
placement and where she is within the tribe is perfect to win this game
Mhm.
since the target is not on her at all.
Uh-huh.
And I feel like her and Liz were pretty much the swing vote. They could have gone either way. But they were like, no, they were on the Charlie train.
Uh,
And I'm going to say LVP. I do love Q a lot. As you all like, I love the entertainment value stuff. That doesn't mean that they're always my favorites. But, in the sense of like, I've been rocking who has he has had such an impact on fashion
uh,
in the survivor community as of late. Like, and then the whole you made a mistake meme and
yeah,
everything like that.
big mistake.
Big mistake. Um, but I am going to give it to Maria, mostly because I feel like going into this,
Mhm.
she's in such a bad position. She pretty much just killed any chances of working with Charlie. I feel like she is definitely on the outs, and she has to win out in order to make it to
Yeah.
FTC.
Yeah, the reason I didn't say her is because she did win immunity, which meant that
That
she
is
saved
fair.
herself. Because I think
From
that
elimination.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I do think it was episode several that was actually what kind of made her become the target for six here. Um, yeah, I think that's why I'd still say Q, and especially since Q knew he was getting the votes. He knew he was like no one was really wanting to work with him. Like that was kind of common knowledge.
Yeah.
And I do think he could have potentially won a Final Five. I know that Final Five, they love to do the bigger kind of obstacle course competition stuff for an immunity there.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's probably more in his wheelhouse than like a balancing thing or a puzzle. Like if it's kind of a big multifaceted thing, I think he's probably better at it.
Also, one thing we have to talk about the puzzle with the dolphin.
Mhm.
That is like the most angry dolphin I have ever seen in my life. Like, if you pull up a picture of the dolphin from that challenge, like that dolphins are usually either happy or anything when they're depicted. This one was like, no, I mean business.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
It's got
I was scared.
it's got all that petty energy that this cast has. Like it translated
Oh,
into the Dolphins.
man. Uh, yeah. And with that, is there anything else we need to talk about?
No, I think that covers it here. I'm excited for this finale. I think it to me it's predictable, but I'm still ready to see how it plays out here. Um, and yeah, it's gonna be a good one.
Yeah. And then once we do our finale, guys, we got so much. We have some content in the bank that we haven't even posted yet.
Yeah.
We got some interviews, us interviewing each other. We got Brandon Booth, and then we have some interviews we still need to film. We got a new series that I am excited to tell you all once it
Hmm.
comes out. I think you guys are going to enjoy it.
Yeah.
And then, we ourselves are also trying to put together our own mini as well.
Hmm.
We've just been busy. Joe's been filming and, being thrown into orgs himself. I've been busy, whether it's acting, Pokemans, or any of that, and also
Yeah.
supporting my friends that are doing org stuff. So once all that is done, now that we're moving out of that, Survivor is going to be on a break for a little bit. We'll be able to focus on a lot of content on this channel, some that that you guys have not seen before. So that's
Yeah.
going to be pretty cool.
Yeah, exactly. It's a lot of stuff for us to move forward with, and I think schedule is going to start clearing up a little bit here. So definitely expect more stuff to be coming out here. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah. All right. I shall see you guys around and take care. And we will see you for finale.
Yeah. See you in the next one.
Peace.